All right, so we are live. We are live and running with our first live best ball draft here on this summer. So, we're not going to dilly dally. We're not going to waste any time. So we're going to go ahead and go right into it. We're going to be doing the puppy draft on Underdog, which is the $5 entry. A lot of people prefer Best Ball Mania or like the bigger tournaments, but I just love the drafts like the puppy, like the Chihuahua, like the Pomeranian, all these small dollar drafts. I'm not a super big time budget player, but I love to just get a ton of volume with all these smaller drafts. And to me, the puppy at $5 is like just the perfect dollar amount entry and the perfect way to go ahead and, just kind of do a lot of drafts. And if you're a beginner, I think it's a great place to start. The one thing I will say is I think that the puppy is like slightly less chalky than Best Ball Mania. I think Best Ball Mania, you get a lot of guys who really know what they're doing, who really do end up going for stacks, who kind of generally play at the optimal or the popular strategies. You get a little bit less of that in the puppy and the smaller dollar lobbies. So we'll see how this goes. Anyway, what we're looking at now, we have joined a draft. We do have the 4th overall pick. So it will be interesting to see who we end up going with from the 4th spot. But it's not a bad spot to be in. It's certainly not like my least favorite spot. I really don't like drafting from 11 or 12. I just see there being a lot of guys that are on about the same tier at 11 or 12. I also think that making that second round pick in if you're in the early first is also pretty tough as well. So we're going to be getting started here in about 25 seconds. Now, if you have not seen this already, I'm going to show my second tab that I have open on my screen. This is our best ball stacking guide. So this is a way that you can kind of know where each player for each team is kind of going and getting drafted and who their opponents are for the playoff rounds in best ball. And I did this for all 32 teams. You can edit this if you want to edit it. But if you want access to this Google document, you're going to need to subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/Mike'sMoneyPicks. And that is one tool that you will have there, in addition to all of our weekly DFS scores for golf and then NFL and college football once that season starts. All right, so the draft has begun, and as anticipated, 1 and 2 have been Christian McCaffrey and CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to see who this guy takes at pick number 3, and then we are going to be on the clock for pick number 4. He takes Tyreek Hill. So one thing I've been doing in a lot of drafts lately is I have been taking Justin Jefferson over Jamar Chase. I think I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to go ahead and take Chase here. What I think is really interesting is last year we thought that Justin Jefferson was clearly the number 1 over Jamar Chase, right? And pretty much nothing changed for those two players aside from the quarterback, where Justin Jefferson gets switched to J.J. McCarthy, right? J.J. McCarthy, I think, was a very fine college quarterback. He was just not in a system that allowed him to, throw the ball with a whole lot of volume. So I don't see there being anything wrong with J.J. McCarthy. I don't see there being this like precipitous drop on the part of Justin Jefferson. So I think it's really weird that Jefferson is ranked behind Chase. But when you play best ball, I do think that it's pretty good to even out your exposures. So, if I've already a few times taken Jefferson in the 4 spot, then I probably need to make sure that I get a few shares of Chase as well. And I'm certainly not going to be taking Chase ahead of Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, or CeeDee Lamb. So this time for the 4 spot, I'm going to be taking Jamar Chase, and I'm going to be seeing what we can do with it. Now, using my best ball stacking guide, the one that was just on the screen, I know that if I want to continue targeting this Bengals offense, I've got T. Higgins in round 4, Jermaine Burton in round 13, Joe Burrow is the quarterback in round 7, and their week 17 opponent is Denver. See, that's how you can use that best ball stacking guide in real time. Now, the rest of this first round has been pretty chalky. Jefferson, St. Brown, A.J. Brown, Bijan Robinson, Garrett Wilson, and Breece Hall through pick 10. That's pretty much how you see the first 10 picks line up. Maybe Puka Nacua fell a little bit there to 11. Puka is generally taken like probably 10 or 11. So very chalky first 11 picks. And the guy at the turn went Marvin Harrison and Chris Olave, with Jahmyr Gibbs coming right after that. So we're looking at a fairly typical best ball draft start. Now, one thing that I find really interesting is I think that last year, if we were doing a best ball draft, we'd probably see guys with the profile of Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley going in round 1. But like the zero RB strategy has totally taken over. And it's just weird to me to see, this basically dispersion away from running backs. And, there's kind of like the whole, if you're consuming any best ball content, everybody out there is propping up zero RB, is backing up zero RB because it's been the predominantly best, like most optimal strategy the last few years, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the case this year. Especially if everybody is going zero RB. When you think of playing DFS, zigging while everybody else is zagging is generally the move that you want to make. So I don't necessarily feel like I'm going out of my way to do a zero RB draft, but I'm going to get the guys that I like, and I'm going to take them in a way that makes sense. I'm still probably going to do a pretty optimal roster construction, 2-5-8-3 or 3-5-8-2. But I'm not necessarily going to set out with this draft as saying that, I want to go zero RB or I want to do another strategy or anything like that. Well, the second round has been fairly predictable. After Jahmyr Gibbs, it was London, Ayuk, Adams, Taylor, Barkley, and Nico Collins. I was really looking forward to taking Nico Collins. That was a guy that I wanted. But two of my favorite tail end of the second round picks are still on the board, Jalen Waddle and Deebo Samuel. And I'm going to take Jalen Waddle here at the 2-9. Oh, I seen the comments, my guy, Fantasy Football Garage. What's up, man? Great to see you on here. Love the content that you are doing for Best Ball as well. Keep it up. I'm very happy to see you in here and talk it up with some best ball. So we are now through 2 rounds. We got DK Metcalf and Malik Neighbors off the board. So looking at what I've got here, the Dolphins play Cleveland in week 17, so I'm not really looking to stack that up per se. Cincinnati plays Denver in week 17, so there's not really anybody I can get there. So I'm not going to be adding anybody to my stacks here. And with this third round pick, I'm probably going to go Mike Evans if he falls to me. Since I have drafted, we've seen Metcalf, Neighbors, Samuel, Achane, and Henry go. Derrick Henry a little bit off the board there. If Mike Evans falls to me, though, that's going to be the pick. So let's see what this guy ends up doing. If Evans does get taken, which he might, if he clocks out, he's going to end up getting Mike Evans, who's the top player on the board. Well, dang it. Yep, it was Mike Evans. So let's see what we got here then. We've got Devontae Smith, DJ Moore, Stephon Diggs, Kyren Williams at the top of the board. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go with DJ Moore. I'm not worried about the target competition. In Chicago, I think Odunze is a fine player. Keenan Allen is a fine player, but will probably be hurt by week 7. DJ Moore was an elite target earner last year. They can use him in all kinds of ways. Big-time quarterback upgrade in terms of passing volume with Caleb Williams. So I'm taking DJ Moore pretty confidently with my 3-4. Devontae Smith and Cooper Kupp just went after me. I got to be honest, y'all, a guy that I was considering was Kyren Williams. Everybody likes to crap on Kyren Williams, but as long as Kyren Williams is healthy, Kyren Williams is going to get fed the football in Los Angeles. And really, to me, the only concern that I would have about him would be if you think he's going to get injured. And so if you have any, kind of quarrels about taking Kyren Williams, just go take Blake Corum later on in the draft. And you know that Sean McVay loves to feature one running back, and you can end up getting the Sean McVay RB1 at the cost of just taking Williams in round 3 and then Blake Corum later on in the draft. I think that's a really solid pick that I considered. Kyren Williams actually just fell past ADP. He went all the way to 310 at pick 34. Since I drafted, we saw Smith, Kupp, Pittman, Diggs, Flowers, Williams, and then Dell go. So pretty conventional start so far. The guy at the turn went a little bit off the board. He went Trey McBride and Isaiah Pacheco. Sam Laporta, your normal TE1, is still on the board. Yeah, seeing the comment, Fantasy Football Garage, I totally agree. If I start 2 wide receivers, picking Kyren in the third round is definitely very palatable. And I just think that you're seeing so many people go out of their way to try to do zero RB that they're ignoring good talent players in good roles like Kyren Williams. I think he's a great example of that. So definitely he's a guy that I've clicked a few times already. All right, now starting to get back to us here in round 4, Sam Laporta did go off the board, followed by T. Higgins. I would have loved if Higgins was able to fall back to me, but that is not going to be the case. So now we got to start thinking a little bit. if Josh Allen does somehow make it all the way back down to me, that would be a guy that I would gladly take at the 4-9 spot. And I think that when you think of the context of winning, the puppy tournament or Best Ball Mania or something like that, being able to start with Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle and pair that with Josh Allen, that would be a super unique combination. So that would be something that if he falls back to me, I would love. I don't necessarily have a lot of faith that he is going to fall back to me. So we've got Pickens and Kelsey off the board. We're only 3 picks away from potentially having Josh Allen now. And I know one of the guys in between me and the guy picking right now has Devontae Smith. So you got to figure if he has Devontae Smith, he's going to go with Jalen Hurts over Josh Allen. So Amari Cooper goes at the 4-6, and I've only got 2 more selections away from getting Josh Allen. Now I got to think of a backup plan. If I do not get Josh Allen, I'm probably going to go with one of the Jaguars that's sitting right there, either Travis Etienne or Christian Kirk. I might consider Lamar Jackson and then try to stack him with Mark Andrews right off the back of that if that ends up being something that can happen. But I do believe that this guy right here is going to get autopilot, and he does take Josh Allen from me. So not necessarily a good look there, getting Josh Allen taken from the auto pick. Hurts goes right after. So let's see. What a Jaguars. So the Jaguars play Tennessee in week 17. I could very easily get Trevor Lawrence later in the draft to stack. I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. That's going to be the guy that I'm going to go with here. I very easily could have taken Travis Etienne. I just think that I don't necessarily know if he's adding a whole lot of value over a whole lot of the other running backs that are still there. So if Etienne falls back to me in the 5-4 spot, I would absolutely take him there. We'll see, though. Really, really disappointed that the guy in the auto draft got Josh Allen. Like, I totally understand why auto drafts get the top player on the board. It's for integrity's sake, so that way every lobby ends up being, somewhat fair and has an equal chance to win the tournament. But, dang, it doesn't necessarily feel right that you can just miss your pick and end up getting the best guy available. So, maybe that's something that the Underdog or DraftKings can do, where they do maybe a different tournament with a different setup for autopilots. If it were like the real NFL draft, they just they'd sit there with the ability to submit the pick, but not be able to pick. Or I guess they would be able to pick, but they'd just be able to submit it at any time after the fact. So, not my favorite rule, and it definitely stinks to get your guy sniped by an auto pick. Looking in the comments, see my guy Belly Ball. Thank you, man. Great to have you. Glad to have you here watching the stream. I do appreciate it. All right, so now we got to start thinking a little bit ahead. So since I picked, Etienne did go at pick 46, followed by Mahomes and McLaurin to end round 4. So I've got 4 receivers so far. So remember at the start how I said I wasn't married to going 0 RB? I've kind of got a little bit of a 0 RB start here. So it's going to be interesting to see what falls to me. Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews have gone at the top of round 5. I would not be opposed to taking an unstacked Lamar Jackson right here. I think that Lamar Jackson and Anthony Richardson are 2 quarterbacks that I would absolutely be willing to take unstacked just because of the nature of their rushing upside. So I would not have a problem doing that, although if this guy gets auto-picked, it does appear as if he's going to get Lamar Jackson from the top of the board. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So now I'm on the clock. I don't necessarily really like Josh Jacobs sitting there as the top running back on the board. Man, this is not a great spot to be in right now, if I'm being honest. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and take Keenan Allen, and I'm just going to go all in on this Bears stack. That's going to be what I go with here. I've already gotten DJ Moore, and now I've got a receiver room where I've taken 5 receivers with my first 5 picks. So I've really shored up my wide receiver position. This is a pretty good spot to be in. Now I can start focusing on some running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends. Running back, looking at it, falling back to me, I would love to be able to get Joe Mixon or Kenneth Walker falling back to me. At the tight end spot, I'm more than happy to wait at tight end. Getting Brock Bowers as being one of the last ones to take a tight end, that's something that I've really loved doing so far here in this best ball season. More on that when we get closer to it probably. But I'm totally content to wait on quarterback, running back, and tight end with what was left for me at that 5-4 spot. Now, maybe in hindsight, could I have taken ETN at 45 and felt just as good about my draft so far. Absolutely. Hindsight's always 2020, I guess, but I definitely, I never find myself really super regretting it when I take a wide receiver as opposed to another position. Like if you ever end up in a spot where you don't really like what's available to you, wide receiver is a pretty solid spot to take, in my opinion. So not mad at all about how it ended up. So anyway, since I drafted Keenan Allen, we've seen Kincaid, Jacobs, Reed, Ridley, Godwin, Pitts, and Stroud go. And now we are at the back end of round 5 where Rachaad White has gone. Rachaad White would have been a great guy to fall to me. Jordan Addison went at 61. That's a little bit off the board, but maybe he knows something I don't. DeAndre Hopkins, 62. James Cook, 63. Would have loved to have Cook fall to me, even though he ended up not falling to me. Now, one quick thing about best ball. So, like, if Anthony Richardson does fall to me, I would love that as well. I am more than happy to take an unstacked Anthony Richardson, like we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. The weird thing is all the shares of Richardson that I have so far, they have not been stacked with Michael Pittman Jr. Because the weird thing is, if you want Anthony Richardson to hit his fantasy point ceiling, it's not going to come with Michael Pittman Jr. reaching his fantasy point ceiling. For Anthony Richardson to hit his ceiling, you're going to need him to rush for about 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. And that's going to mean less volume for Michael Pittman Jr. So when I've been taking Anthony Richardson, it's been taking him stacked with the likes of Adonai Mitchell and Josh Downs, as opposed to trying to stack him with Michael Pittman and Michael Pittman Jr. Because mainly, if you take Pittman Jr. in the 3rd or 4th round, like, you need him to return on that investment, right? Like, I don't mind stacking Richardson with Downs and Mitchell because they're much lower investment and they're guys that you don't need as much out of to return value, right? So as I do all that talk about Anthony Richardson, like, he might fall to me. He gets taken at pick 66. Of course, that's just kind of how this draft has been gone. Brian Thomas Jr., who's a guy that I would have certainly considered to keep that Jacksonville stack up, went pick 67. Roma Dunes went pick 68. So now a very easy click for me, very comfortable click. Kenneth Walker III at pick 69. He is the first running back that I have taken, the only running back I've taken with my first 6 picks, and I feel pretty solid about taking that one. All right, so let me get a quick little drink here just a second. I'm also going to clip the audio for the audio version of this. Now, Gatorade, if you're watching this, absolutely I will take a sponsorship. Heck, Powerade, I would take a sponsorship. I'd take a sponsorship from anybody if they'd be willing to offer it to me. And one more click there. All right, and the audio version is complete. All right, so now looking at the end of round 6, Kittle and Ingram went there at the end of round 6. I wouldn't have mind getting Ingram on the bounce back up to me to kind of keep going with that little Jacksonville stack that I have with Christian Kirk. But anyway, I'm feeling pretty good. Ladd McConkey went there at the 6-12, Rashee Rice at 7-1. So I'm going to have it come to me in 2 picks. And the question becomes do I try to write it out with Burrow? I've got Jamar Chase already. Burrow's ADP is pick 86. So do I want to reach on Burrow or do I want to try to write it out is the main question here. Well, I don't have a whole lot of time to think about it. The thing is, the running backs that I can take right now, I feel pretty comfortable that I can get a running back no, actually, I don't know, man. Clock's ticking. I'm going to go ahead and take Kamara. Yeah. I'm going to take Kamara and try to push it a little bit on Burrow. Looking at what was available to me, I did not like any of the tight ends near the top of the board. Like, I can wait and get my guy Brock Bowers if I want to. But I definitely think that I can try to push it on Burrow. I can get, like Fantasy Football Garage is saying in the chat, he hit the nail on the head. I can definitely get Caleb Williams. I could definitely get Tua. I could definitely get Trevor if I needed to. So let's push it on Burrow a little bit because if I look at the running back position, I can get Kamara right there with the pick I just had. Whereas if I wait, I'm looking at like Zach Moss, James Conner, and I think that the fall off between Kamara to those guys is much bigger than the fall off of maybe not getting Burrow. So let's now hope that, we got 13 picks to get back to me. Let's hope that Burrow ends up falling back. So far, so good. Christian Watson, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and David Montgomery have gone right after me, followed by Keon Coleman. Now, if we look at the board, let's see who took T. Higgins, because that might be the guy that I need to try to wait it out for. So let me see if I can find Higgins on this board real quick. Okay, so the guy that took T. Higgins, he was in the 10 spot. He already has 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end. So I would hope that he's going to try to get some more wide receiver draft capital here and try to not steal Joe Burrow. Let's hope that Burrow can fall back to us. If he doesn't, like I said, we got outs. We can get Trevor. We can get Tua. We can feel all right, right? Now, he did end up taking Najee Harris, which this guy is, you've heard of the 0 RB build. This guy is going like the heavy RB build. He's got 4 running backs. Now, what I find so interesting about best ball right now is, the proliferation of best ball content. Everybody is like pushing 4 wide receivers before round 7, 4 wide receivers before round 7. That's like the thing you see everybody say, right? And so one of the funniest outcomes of that is you look at Jamison Williams, who's wide receiver 48 on the board. That's exactly 4 wide receivers for every team on average would be wide receiver 48. And his ADP is exactly at the end of the 7th round, 82. And then once you get past him, you have all these different position options right past 82. It's like so many people are just trying to go for wide receivers before round 7, just as much as they humanly can, because that's what they're hearing from all the content, right? And so, like I said earlier, sometimes it's good to zig while other people are zagging. Sometimes it's good to, just get your guys and what you think is best. And sometimes it's good to, kind of lean into it a little bit. Like one thing that's definitely possible is, if you have these rooms that are getting wide receiver heavy, you can get caught in a wide receiver avalanche where it just feels like everybody is taking wide receiver. So you do not want to get caught behind at the wide receiver position. So I totally get why people are drafting the wide receivers. Now, looking at it, we've got one more pick to go, and it appears that we might get Joe Burrow here at 8-9, and I would be ecstatic if that's the case. The guy that's picking in front of us already has a quarterback, and this 8th round has been quite interesting. It was Stevenson and Swift to end it at the turn, followed by Palmer, Brooks, Williams, Moss, White, Ferguson, Samuel, and Warren. And now we are on the clock, and the plan came together, Joe Burrow in round 8, and I have my Burrow and Chase stack. Now, this would be perfect also if this planned out. I want to take Brock Bowers at pick 97. So everybody hating on Brock Bowers, right, is just like, oh, rookie tight ends are never great. He's not in a good offense. The Raiders aren't going to be any good. All that might be true, but you're forgetting Brock Bowers is simply the best tight end prospect to come into the league, probably in my lifetime. Like, he was Georgia's leading target earner and receiving yardage person, I guess would be the way you would word that, as a true freshman. That's really hard to do, especially for a team that is in the SEC and won the national championship that year. So I think Brock Bowers is just supremely talented. And I think he's going to be a great NFL player. And tight end 10 is a great price to take him at. And I got him at pick 100. My 9th pick is going to be Brock Bowers. I love it when a plan comes together, y'all. That could not have worked out any better for me. Now, while I was waxing poetic about Brock Bowers, we had Cortland Sutton, James Conner, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Raheem Mostert, and Tyler Lockett go. Now, the guy that took Prescott, that's cold, because the guy right behind him is the guy that had CeeDee Lamb. Now, granted, he already had Patrick Mahomes, but like if that guy wanted to set up a Dak and CD stack, this guy just blocked him for no apparent reason. Seems like so. Big ouch on that one. Anyway, after I took Bowers, we've got Love, Pollard, and Njoku. And I gotta say, I feel pretty good about the Bowers pick right now. Like, I don't necessarily want to be the last one taking a tight end, even though I do think that Goddard, Schultz, Freiermuth, and Hockenson, they're all just okay options in their own way. But I really do think there's a teardrop after Bowers. I think he's kind of your last chance to be elite at tight end. I think he is probably the last guy that legitimately has like top 3 to 4 tight end in his range of outcomes. And so I'm supremely happy to get Bowers at that pick. Now I need to start looking, because I technically have a full starting lineup now. So now I need to start looking about who and what I can add to this and make it a little bit better. So let's see what we got. I could take Caleb Williams. Is he still available? Yeah, but he's probably going to go. I would love to get Caleb Williams and add to that stack. I could probably get Trevor and add to my little mini Jacksonville stack. Has Gabe Davis gone off the board yet? He is not. I got a while on Gabe Davis. So I've got a lot of options here, y'all. And that's a good position to be in, is to be in a position where you have a lot of options. Anyway, since I stopped narrating, we've seen Benson, Shakir, Dobbs, Spears, Javonte Williams, Mike Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Brian Robinson Jr., and Dallas Goedert go. So we have 4 more picks to make it back to me. And I got to say, y'all, I think I'm going to go with Caleb Williams if he falls back to me. I think that having 2 kind of elite quarterbacks is a pretty good spot to be in, with them both stacked up, is a really good position to be in. And then I can feel pretty good about taking one of the running backs that makes it to me, if Caleb Williams makes it to me right here. The guy in front of me, 2 guys in front of me, I guess, did pick Trevor Lawrence, so I don't have that as a stacking option anymore. He has Brian Thomas, so that one makes sense. I can't complain about him sniping my stack when he does have Brian Thomas. But now this guy took Dontavian Wicks, and now I can take Caleb Williams, and I officially have 2 of the top 12 quarterbacks with different bye weeks, both stacked up with their primary wide receivers. That's a pretty good spot to be in right now. And I got to say, I do like how this draft is going so far. I'm feeling pretty good. Now, I do not like the 2 picks that came after me, Blake Corum and Gus Edwards. I was certainly going to target Corum with the next pick. And so I think I've made my mind up that I'm going to be going running back with this pick. Yeah. I'm tempted to take Gabe Davis. I'm really, really tempted to take Gabe Davis here. Now, it would be taking him ahead of ADP, but any of the running backs that I like, it would be taking them ahead of ADP slightly also. But let's see. If I wait on wide receiver, I could probably I can definitely get Burton in this receiver room. If I wait on running back, it kind of gets bleak pretty quickly. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jerome Ford. Reason being, I mentioned this on my initial best ball strategy show. I think Jerome Ford has a supremely good range of outcomes. And what I mean by that is this is a tough name to say this with. The floor for Ford, there we go, is a guy who is his team's passing down back on a team that runs the ball quite a lot and an offense that is just okay, right? But they showed last year that even when, before Nick Chubb got hurt, Ford's going to be in on passing downs. And then after Chubb got hurt, Ford was kind of the guy, and Kareem Hunt didn't really take away his work on passing downs a whole lot. So Ford's usage last year was great. And the ceiling for Ford is, hey, what if Nick Chubb doesn't come back anytime soon? Or what if Nick Chubb doesn't come back to 100% effectiveness? And what if Ford is just the guy, right? So I really do think that's a pretty solid pick there with him. Even though I don't like that he has a bye week of 10, I do think that he, with his range of outcomes, is probably the best back that I could have gotten there. I was very tempted to kind of add to my little Bengals stack and go with Chase Brown. But Chase Brown is a guy that is really like, man, you talk about a guy that could be super boom or bust. He really didn't show a whole lot at all last year. He was great at Illinois. I do all the college stuff. I watch college every Saturday. I do college football DFS shows. So, I know my stuff with college. He was great at Illinois. But, I think Zach Moss could be the guy there. And Chase Brown is just another guy who is just, playing 30% of the snaps because Zach Moss can kind of do it all. So I think that just with the floor that Chase Brown had, I kind of wanted to stay away from that floor. I wanted to kind of get Jerome Ford, who I think has a higher floor and just as high of a ceiling as Chase Brown. So not feeling bad about that pick at all. Now, I do need to go back to talking about the other picks. Chase Brown did go 1 pick after me, and Gabe Davis was taken up by The guy who has Trevor Lawrence, 2 picks after me. So I totally get that one. I probably should have seen that one coming, but that's okay. Austin Eckler and Zach Charbonnet went next, followed by Herbert and Tua, Mitchell, Judy, and Schultz. And now we are starting round 13. So I got to say, I'm feeling pretty good about the start of this draft. We got 6 rounds left. Going to see how we can close it off. I do know I want to get Jermaine Burton. I'm kind of eyeing taking him with my 13th round pick. I kind of want to go either running back or tight end right here, because I know that if I'm taking Burton, and I know that if I have only 8 wide receiver spots, then he's going to be one of them. He's going to get me to 6. And I got to be honest, I really do much prefer like the late round flyers at the wide receiver position as opposed to the late round flyers at the running back position. You look at a lot of the guys that are late round flyers at running back, and that's a pretty rough looking list. Anyway, since we kind of started talking with that strategy discussion, Freiermuth, Cousins, Chandler, Miller, and Leggett have been taken. I misspoke, by the way. That was the end of the 11th round. We are now in the 12th round. So let's see what comes back to us. We got 2 more picks. This guy looks like he's going to get autoed. Oh, no, he took the guy that I wanted. He took Rico Dowdle. I was definitely eyeing Rico Dowdle. I think that there's a big-time chance that Zeke is just cooked. And if Zeke is cooked, then Rico Dowdle is going to be a big-time player in that offense. So I'm going to go – you know what? I'm going to actually, you know what? That's too much bye weeks of 10. Or is it – yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get Nick Chubb. Whoops. And it might be weird to think that, I just drafted Jerome Ford and I'm taking Nick Chubb. But I'm basically guaranteeing that whether or not Chubb comes back, healthy or not, he is going to, I'm going to be getting Cleveland's running back 1. And this is a team that loves to run the football with a great offensive line. So I do think that that's a pretty solid pick. And I'm going to be getting those 2. And also I have a little mini correlation there with the Week 17 game between Jalen Waddle's Miami Dolphins and Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb. Now, the guy right after me took a really savvy pick, a guy that I very much considered, and that is Jaleel McLaughlin. So, y'all, I got to be honest, I like leaving a draft with either Jaleel McLaughlin or Audric Estime. Javonte Williams was not very effective last year. There's rumblings that he might not even make the final roster. We know that Sean Payton loves to kind of have his pass catching backs. And, Jaleel McLaughlin would be a great example of that. He was explosive last year, and Audric Estime would just be your between the tackles thumper. But if something happens with Javonte Williams, those 2 guys are going to skyrocket in value. So taking Jaleel McLaughlin at 142, which this guy did, I very much think is a good strategy. Now, from there, Roman Wilson and Jahan Dotson ended round 12. Lloyd, Wright, and Hawkinson started round 13, and I did get my guy Jermaine Burton with the 4th pick in round 13, and Luke Musgrave and Cole Kmet went next. It seems as if everybody is obsessed with drafting their second tight end right now. Brock Bowers has a bye of 10, doesn't he? Yes. So I really want Noah Fant as my second tight end here. Seattle had 3 legitimate tight ends last year. And Fant was one of them, but the other 2 were gone. And Fant also got starters money. He's getting paid $10 million a year. So I think that there's a chance that he has a pretty big role in this Seattle offense, which new offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, I do think that this is going to be a legitimate offense. I think that this is going to be, not one of the league's bottom offenses in Seattle. So I think that Fant is the second tight end that I want to target. I'm not going to target him anytime soon. So looking at what I've got, I've drafted 4 running backs so far, right? I'm only going to take 5. So what I'm planning on doing is I think I might go with Estime in that spot. Or I might roll the dice on J.K. Dobbins. So the thing is with J.K. Dobbins is he absolutely has the skill set to be a 3-down back. He has shown that when he is healthy, he is a 3-down back, right? And we know that Jim Harbaugh loves to run the football, loves it. So, we're getting a guy where if he comes back fully healthy, he could be a top 15 running back. And with the fact that I drafted 2 top 20 running backs in Walker and Kamara, and I've got Ford and Chubb, then Dobbins, even if he comes back slowly, he could be the guy late in the season, and I've got plenty equity early in the season to kind of cover up if he does come back slowly. So J.K. Dobbins is probably going to be the late round running back that I am going to target. In terms of the wide receiver position, and if I don't get him, I think I'm going to go Estime. Like I talked about, I like leaving the draft with one of those Broncos running backs. So I do have 2 more wide receivers. I don't think there's another one on Cincinnati or Chicago that I'm going to take. I could take Odell or Malik Washington to kind of get another Miami guy. That would be something that I could consider. Let's look at some Week 17 opponents. So Chicago plays Seattle, so Fant would play into that one. Seattle's top 3 receivers have already gone, though. Cincinnati plays Denver, so Troy Franklin has already gone, so there's not really a late Denver wide receiver that I could take. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily going to be married to one guy or the other here in terms of that last wide receiver spot. If you guys are in the comments, let me know who you think I should take for my last wide receiver spots, because those are the 2 that I'm kind of open on. I feel pretty good about staying at 2 quarterbacks. I feel pretty good about Dobbins / Estime as my next running back. I feel pretty good about Fant as another option at tight end. The only thing is, if I do take Fant, I am going to have to take a 3rd tight end, which is fine because, like we said, we are going to stick with 2 quarterbacks. So I'm going to have enough spots for a tight end. So I'm probably going to take a wide receiver with this next pick. Anyway, since I stopped narrating, the end of the 13th round, Polk, Johnston, Wan'Dale Robinson, Darnell Mooney, Matthew Stafford, Rashad Bateman. Start of the 14th was Franklin, Pearsall, Henry, Algier, Sinnott, Gibson, and now Ray Davis, and Kamani Vidal just went off the board. So we've got free reign to take a wide receiver position here. And I'm going to take Thielen, Corley, Wilson, Douglas, Mims. I'm going to take Thielen. Yeah. Adam Thielen's a guy that, like, he's like a totally unsexy pick, but like he just earns targets. He gets open. I am a Carolina Panthers fan, unfortunately. So I do think that offense is going to be a little bit better this coming year than it has been previous years. And Thielen's just a guy that can kind of help make that offense go. He's going to earn targets. He's going to be able to, be one of the primary guys in that offense. And I got to say, this guy that picked after me just took J.K. Dobbins well before ADP. Not expecting that one. So, oh boy, now I got to really call an audible. After Dobbins, we had Hubbard and Corley taken. Corley I do like quite a bit, but I think that Thielen gives me a guy that, say we have a week where my stacks are off, or, somebody gets hurt or something. Thielen can kind of just be a guy that gets you like 12 to 14 fantasy points, and it ends up being like a spot starter in best ball. So don't mind that at all. Now, like I said, I'm really hurt that Dobbins went. I was going to take Dobbins with this pick, but since I took Hubbard, Corley, Irvin, Conklin, and Geno went, so I am going to go ahead and grab Noah Fant right here. My pick in the 15th round. And I'm going to take a quick breather right now. I'm going to go ahead and flip the audio. Hopefully this actually plays well over audio. I did audio before I started on YouTube, so I never want to alienate the audio audience, because they've been there for a while with me, almost 2 years now. All right, so since I took Fant, Khalil Herbert, Kate Otten, Aaron Rodgers, Will Levis, and Chig Okonkwo have gone, I'm pretty much totally ignoring the quarterbacks at this point, if I'm being honest, because I've got my 2 guys. I feel pretty good about them. Burrow and Williams, that's a really solid QB room that I feel about right now. So what I do need to do, I've got 3 picks left, and I know I need another running back. I know I need another wide receiver, and I know I need another tight end. So let's see how we're going to land the plane here. Like I said, I know we want Audric Estime as my late round running back. The other guy that I might consider would be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. simply because not that I think he is good at football, but because he is actually kind of the de facto RB2 right now in Kansas City. And, Jerick McKinnon is not on that team. So, if they don't sign another running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the primary guy to work in on passing downs behind Pacheco. Pacheco is not a prolific pass catcher. He's not poor at it either. I think that Edwards-Helaire might be that guy. And so Edwards-Helaire would be a late round guy that I could consider. But I'm only going to get one between Clyde and Estime. So I'm going to go ahead and pencil those two in as my round 18 pick. So that means that I may need to take a tight end in round 16 or 17. And man, the guy that I wanted just got taken. I was going to take Jonnu Smith. That was going to be my guy. Mike McDaniel hasn't really used tight ends a whole lot in his time in Miami, but he used him a ton when he was in San Francisco. It's because he had George Hill who would actually block. And Jonnu Smith ain't afraid to block. He's also not afraid to take jet sweeps or screens or whatever else Arthur Smith wanted to do with him last year. So I think Jonnu Smith could potentially be a top 10 tight end. A lot of value there with Jonnu Smith. Now, I could take Gesicki as my last tight end. I don't think that would be the worst result in the world. Add to my Cincinnati stack. We know that he doesn't block, but who else are they going to play on offense, right? So I think Gesicki would be the guy that I would look at there. But I can get him slightly later. I don't have to take him here in this round 16 pick. So with this round 16 pick, I would like to get Demarcus Robinson. Since I stopped narrating, by the way, Knicks, Michael Wilson, Jonnu Smith, Dameon Pierce, Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, and Jalen McMillan have gone. And Elijah Mitchell was the pick right before me. So I am going to take Demarcus Robinson. And there's a very simple reason why. And it's just, what if Cooper Kupp gets hurt again, right? Then he's instantly the wide receiver 2 in one of the league's best offenses. And, you're looking at a guy that you're getting in the 16th round that could end up being an elite level wide receiver in an elite level offense. So I really do like Demarcus Robinson. Now, we are going to have a video come out maybe this week, maybe next week, about my favorite late round targets in best ball. And a lot of them are going to be wide receivers because you've got a lot of guys right here that are in good offenses, have the potential for good roles, right? Like Zay Jones could very easily be the wide receiver 2 in Arizona, and offense is going to throw the ball a ton, if we're being honest. Devontae Walker, probably going to be the wide receiver 2 in Baltimore. Jalen Tolbert has essentially locked up the Michael Gallup role in Dallas's offense, and I got to be honest, if his name were Michael Gallup, he wouldn't be getting drafted as late as he is. And then you have Greg Dortch, who has been like one of the camp kings at Arizona. Y'all do not write off every piece of information that you see in here coming out of training camp. Because if you remember last year, one of the guys that was like the big camp guy was Puka Nacua, right? Who ended up being one of the best wide receivers in fantasy. So, look at what's obviously waiting on the roster. Look at the historical track record of the offense that you're looking at. But don't discount when writers are writing up about a guy in camp. That there's definitely something there some of the time. All right, so now let's see. I can wait on Gesicki. I feel pretty good about that. So do I want to go Estime or do I want to go Clyde? You know what? I'm going to pull the trigger on Estime. Why not? I feel pretty good about the top of my running back room. I've got the 2 Cleveland guys. So let's go ahead and go Estime. Like I said, I love leaving a draft with one of those late round Broncos running backs. And so now for my last pick, I'm going to look to land the plane with Mike Gesicki. If Gesicki does not get taken, then I know I can't have a tight end by week 10. So none of them there have by week 10. That's kind of nice. Colby Parkinson's an intriguing one. Hey, I see Tyler in the chat. What's up, man? Nice to have you here. Trying to figure out how we're going to land this plane here. I think it's going to be Gesicki, but I definitely got a lot of other options. Really, with late round tight ends, there's just so many, what's the word I'm looking for here? So many mediocre options that can fall into the end zone and be your starting tight end on any given week, if I'm being honest, right? Like Johnny Woods, who's to say that he's not just going to catch 6 or 7 touchdowns this year? That's certainly within the range of outcomes. So, I'm thinking of Gesicki to end up with this stack, but I wouldn't be angry if I had to go with Woods or Jatavian Sanders or even Colby Parkinson. I think Colby Parkinson can end up being the starter in LA. Again, I like taking LA guys. They're one of the league's best offenses, and their guys have trouble staying healthy. So you can get a backup or a depth chart guy in one of those offenses and hope that they end up being the primary guy in their role. Also, for the audio audience and everybody else, after I kind of stopped narrating the picks, I took Estime, followed by Javon Baker, Daniel Jones, Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Jalen Tolbert, Drake May, Derek Carr, J.J. McCarthy, rare back-to-back quarterbacks taken there, Roshan Johnson, Darius Slayton, Colby Parkinson, Aiden O'Connell, and Keaton Mitchell. So I almost wonder if Mr. B. Cole there was listening to me talk about Colby Parkinson, because he did take him. Isaiah Likely got taken at the 18-7 spot, so I've got one more pick before me, and like I said, y'all, I think we're going to make it Mike Gesicki. I really like this Cincinnati stack that we built out. We got Chase, we pushed Burrow past ADP, and we got it, and then we got Jermaine Burton, which I got to be honest, y'all, if Jermaine Burton's name were Tyler Boyd, if Tyler Boyd had never left, like where would he be getting drafted? It certainly wouldn't be at 151 as like the 70th wide receiver off the board. So Jermaine Burton, I think we're getting some extreme value there as a part of a stack. Love it. I was able to get Mike Gesicki with my last pick. And y'all, I got to say, I'm feeling pretty doggone good about this team. Like I think everything kind of came together pretty nicely. We got sniped a few times. We were always able to kind of pivot and adjust and make it work. And I'm feeling pretty good about this roster that we drafted out on here. So to kind of recap my team, we started off with 5 straight wide receivers: Chase, Waddle, Moore, Kirk, and Allen. We got our RB1 and 2 in back-to-back picks, Kenneth Walker and Alvin Kamara. And then followed by pushing Joe Burrow way past ADP, getting Brock Bowers slightly past ADP, finishing up our little mini Chicago stack with Caleb Williams, and then getting both Cleveland running backs, Chubb and Ford. And then, hold on. I got Underdog's making me work for it here, y'all. Getting both running backs, Chubb and Ford, and then finishing up the Cincinnati stack with Burton, and then getting Thielen, Fant, Robinson, Estime, and Gesicki to finish it off and land the plane. I feel pretty good about that ending to the draft. There's a lot of guys with what we call contingent value there, where if the guy in front of them goes down, or maybe they show up to camp and they're just better than everybody expected, then or maybe even in Noah Fant's case, if he's in a bigger role than anybody expected, in an offense that's better than anybody expected, then they're going to end up being big-time value guys. So really like how this draft came together, really feel good about it. So we'll have to see how this one ends up doing. But y'all, we're going to be doing a ton of best ball content over the summer. We're going to be having guests come here on the stream to draft with us. So make sure that you are subscribed to the YouTube channel. That way you can be here for that. And if you like what you saw here on this stream, make sure you hit the like button. It helps me out a ton, helps the videos get noticed, helps the channel get noticed. And I really do appreciate it when you guys do that. If you want access to the best ball stacking guide, remember I showed it at the very start. I'll show it again here. We've got every player with their round they're in ADP, their positioning on the depth chart, and their playoff opponents. We've got that for every team. It's super great to look at while you're drafting. If you want access to that, head on over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike'sMoneyPicks, and you'll also get, once the season starts, our weekly DFS course for NFL, college football, college basketball. Golf is going on right now, and we're going to have some more best ball tools available to you as the summer goes on. But anyway, that's going to do it for this stream here tonight, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. I certainly enjoyed doing it. I'll be letting you guys know as the season goes on how this ends up doing. So follow me on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. I'll definitely make sure to note that this is the one we did on stream and hope that it ends up pretty well. But this is not going to be the last stream we do all summer. So make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you guys come back. But very much enjoyed this here tonight. Appreciate you guys showing up here on a Sunday night. But other than that, that's pretty much it, guys. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys will come back next time. Hope to see you again. But y'all have a good one.